Okay, Arthur, let's take a look at your swing. Let's look at the swing of PGA Tour player Grant Waite. Tiger Woods said that he believes that Grant Waite has one of the best swings in golf. Now let's look at some of the key fundamental positions of the golf swing. But instead of starting at the one position, at the setup, we're going to begin at impact. The impact position is known as the seventh position, also known as the moment of truth. That's because the golf ball only responds to one thing, and that's the laws of physics and motion that exist at the moment of impact. The golf ball is on the face of a club 4 milliseconds. Everything the ball does, the speed of the ball, the launch angle, the initial direction of ball flight, the curve of the ball, everything was caused by the club's position and motion during those 4 one-thousandths of a second. The truth is, if you want to control the golf ball, you must control the club during impact. The club's position at impact is caused by the player's position at impact. And everything a player does prior to impact is done to consistently achieve a correct impact position. Let's look at some of the keys to a fundamentally sound impact position. To begin with, we're going to look at the full swing fundamentals using an iron while the ball is on the ground. First, we notice that this left arm and shaft are in a straight line and tilted towards the target. The hands are in front of the golf ball. Every fundamental in the golf swing is tied to one key objective, and that is to hit the ground with effective precision every time. There are few absolute fundamentals, but one of the absolute fundamentals is that every pro controls the low point of their swing, and they place that low point of their swing in front of the ball. When a golf ball is on the ground, you cannot hit it solid unless you hit down on it. You must hit the ball before the swing reaches its lowest point. You cannot place the low point of the swing in front of the ball, and you cannot hit down on the ball unless the hands are in front of the ball and the shaft is leaning towards the target. Now let's look at the weight shift. I've drawn a yellow line from the bottom of the ankle straight up, and that line passes right through his belt buckle. The average pro has 85% of their weight on the left foot at impact. The low point of your golf swing is correlated to the location of the center of your body mass. If you can get more of your body mass on that left side, it makes it easier to put the low point of your golf swing in front of the golf ball. It's easy to see how Grant Waite is driving through the ball and towards the target. You can see how his legs are angled as he's driving forward. He has certainly more weight on his left foot than his right. His right foot is leaving the ground and is kind of banking. His outside of that shoe is lifting up. Your golf swing is a circle, and in order to control the golf ball, you must try to control your golf circle. This line from the left arm through the shaft is the radius of that circle. The left arm is extended in order to have a constant radius. The golf swing also has to have a center of the circle. One of the reasons that you'll see the spine tilted back a little bit is that the head is the center of this circle, and it must remain stationary so that the circle stays still as the club swings around the circle. You drive the lower body under the still head. Well, Arthur, it is unrealistic for any recreational golfer to think they can look like the pros. But even small changes that move you closer to the pros' positions will help your ball flight. If at impact you could have a little bit more shaft lean so that you're hitting down on the ball and your divot being more in front of the golf ball, you will compress the ball better and get more distance out of the swing without having to increase your club head speed. I would like to see those hands be about there in front of the golf ball so that you have a little bit more shaft lean. Now there are a couple things you would have to do, and you can learn these through doing some drills. I would like for your arms to have more of a straight line, left arm right through the shaft. And we can help that with just setting that left tricep more on top of your chest. That'll help you keep an extension all the way through the swing. Now when we look at your weight shift, you can see where Grant has a lot more weight on his left side than his right side. And you don't need to have as much as he does, but if you could have a little more weight shift to your left side, then you will find it easier to have that shaft lean. When you finish the swing, you finish the swing with your back foot off the ground and on the toe. So it's not a move that you can't make. You make it every swing. It's just that I want you to start making that move earlier in the downswing. There are some drills that I can show you how to get there. During your golf swing, you shift and move all the way to the left side, and you turn just like Grant does. But the timing of that shift and turn is late. The shift and turn provides some power that you don't capitalize on because you hit the ball before the shift and turn occur. Now let's look at some of the positions before impact that prevent you from having a better impact position. This is the one position, the starting position. First, let's look at the feet. You'll notice that Grant flares his feet outwards a little bit. If you look at this left foot, that toe is pointed out towards the target. The reason for this is that it facilitates a good weight shift to the left side in the downswing. If you need to have 85% of your weight on the left foot at the moment of impact, then you need to do things before impact that help you get there. By turning this foot, it makes it easier to shift your weight to that left leg and not roll on the side of the ankle, but more towards the front of the ankle. Now let's take a look at the position of the arms in the club at the setup. The left arm is extended. It's almost extended in the same line as the shaft. The shaft has a lean in it. It's leaning towards the target. His hands are in front of the golf ball. Grant has preset himself at the beginning of the swing in the same position or close to the same position he wants to have at impact. Now let's take a look at the weight distribution in the setup. I've drawn two lines from the center of the ankle straight up. As you can see, Grant has a little more weight on his left side than he does his right side. He has about 55% of his body weight on the left side and about 45% on his right side. He is kind of presetting himself to the left because he knows he has to have 85% of his weight on the left side at impact. Now let's look at the next position. Overall, you have a very good setup. You have a nice extension in your arm. You have a forward lean in the shaft. I like the fact that your arms are straight and they're sitting more in front of your chest. You have a little more weight on your left side than you do your right side, which is very good. The only thing that's slightly different is that Grant flares his left foot out and you don't. And I think it would help you have a better weight shift to your left side if you did that. This is the 3 position. This is when the left arm is parallel to the ground. And you can see that he still has a nice extension in the arms. You can also see that he's hinged his wrist even further. His right elbow has folded even more, and he's keeping his upper arm close to his side. If you look at where his weight has shifted and draw a line through that ankle, He has kept the left knee right on that line. His left hip and his back is right on that line. He has not moved away from that line during the backswing. Also, the 3 position is one of the best positions to look at the swing plane of the club. The red line shows that the shaft of the club is pointing at the golf ball. Grant has kept the club on plane. By turning in a circle and keeping your arms connected to your body is the easiest way to keep your club on plane. Here you are in the 3 position, and there are 2 areas I want to focus on. One is your left arm. You've let that bend a little bit more than I would like, and there's a particular feeling and sensation that I can show you to help you keep that more extended. The other thing is you have moved your weight to your back foot. You are shifting to the right. And so the low point of your swing has also moved now behind the golf ball. So the low point of your swing, when you set up, was in front of the golf ball, but now it has moved behind the golf ball. So you've added an area or a layer of complexity. So now you have to remember how much to move forward again. You've got to get it back in front of the ball before you have impact. And many times you come up short and don't accomplish that. Now, before we leave the 3 position, let's look at the target line view. Now, first I'm showing you set up, and the yellow line is indicating the shaft line. Now we're in the 3 position where your hands are shoulder high, and you can see how you've taken the shafts very upright, and it's now way above the plane. This will cause some problems, consistency, and loss of power. Now let's take a look at the top of the backswing. We can see that he has even more wrist hinge now. He's fully loaded his hands in order to deliver maximum power. He has coiled and turned his shoulders. He still has a lot of weight on his left side. Grant has turned his hips. His right hip has released and is rotated back and is higher than his left hip. He has dropped down and loading up this left leg, almost like a field goal kicker planting that left foot in order to have a strong kick into the ball. The way Grant gets this powerful turn is by flexing this left leg and extending the back leg during the backswing. Here you are at the top of your backswing, and you can see that it's not much further than the 3 position. I think you agree that if you could turn more and get more shoulder turn, you could have more power with less effort. One of the reasons you don't turn as well as you would like is because in the backswing you shift to the right. You're making a lateral move instead of a rotating move. I want to show you some drills where you rotate around an anchored left leg. It'll also help you take the club more to the inside and get the club on plane. By moving to the right, you're not able to rotate and stay on the circle of the golf swing. And circular momentum will give you more power than linear. Now let's look at the 6th position. Many say the 6th position is almost as important as the 7th position, the impact position. Certainly if you can have a good 6th position, it is easier to have a good 7. So let's take a closer look at this important 6th position. First of all, let's look at this angle right here. The line from the forearm and the right arm to the shaft of the club is almost at a right angle. This is a position achieved only by the best and top players. This right angle is the same as it was at the top of the backswing. On the downswing, they have held that angle all the way to this point. The hands are in front of the thigh. They are in front of the back foot. Their weight is solidly on that left side. That green line from the ankle up is going right through their belt buckle. They almost have all of their weight on that left side. 85% of their weight is already on that left side before they get to impact. All they need to do now from 6 to 7 is unload the hands into the ball. They position their body, they're ready to strike. Now before we get to impact, I want to point out one other important observation. This is the position between position 6 and position 7. Notice that the hands have crossed this green line before the club has hit the ball. The green line is on the ball. At impact, the club head will be on the ball, but it's clear to see that the hands cross the line before the club does. You want to hit the ball with a shaft angle. So you're not trying to flip the club under your hands. You want to drive the hands in front of the ball before you hit it. You have to have a feeling of this angle from the right arm and the shaft being held back. The back of your right wrist is still angled back. You're not flipping that right hand under. When we look at the 6th position, your hands and arms are not in that bad a position compared to Grant. Grant has retained a little bit more angle in the shaft and the right arm than you have, but you still have retained quite a bit, so that's very good. Probably the most dramatic visual look that's different is Grant has shifted so much more weight to his left side. The angle in his lower legs are angled towards the target. They're bracing and pushing towards the target. If you extend a line from the ankle through the knee, you can see how those lines on Grant's picture go well in front of him, whereas you're still kind of flat-footed at impact or prior to impact. You don't have much weight shift. You're fairly evenly balanced right here. Grant achieves that weight shift mostly from the lower body. He is pivoting the bottom of his spine under his eyes. He's kept his head in the same position he had at the top of the swing, just as you have. But he pushes his hips towards the target and swivels towards the target with the bottom of his hips and his spine. Now here we are in the 8th position. Maybe just a little bit before the 8th position. This is when the shaft of the club is almost at a 45-degree angle. As he goes through the ball and impact, he has maintained a nice extension in the arms. Also, his spine is tilted slightly back, and his arms and his spine and his shoulders are all in sync. Also, it's important to point out, if we draw that line straight up from the ankle, how his right pocket is now starting to move towards the left side. He is not just sliding his hips, he's turning his hips. This turn is a special kind of turn. He's not just rotating and spinning his hips. He's turning but also pushing his belt buckle forward, creating a little bit of an arch in his spine, in his lower back, as he extends and straightens his left leg. Also, it's important to point out that Grant keeps the angle in the back of his right hand back just a little bit. He's not flipping and throwing that angle away. He's not throwing that hand under. Now here we are in the 8th position, and the ball has already left the face of the club, so what you're doing in these positions doesn't affect the flight, but they do provide clues as to what you were doing before impact. First, I want to look at Grant's arms. They're both fully extended, and the elbows are close to each other. You have separated your elbows. Your elbows are going further apart. You're having difficulty keeping both arms extended. The main reason you have trouble keeping your elbows close together and your arms extended is because you keep too much weight on your back foot. Once you learn to release the right side and pivot through the ball, similar to what Grant has done, where he's coming off this back foot, his knee is driving towards the other knee, his hip is turning towards the target. That moves his right side closer to the left side and allows him to push and hit out on the ball. And when he's able to get his lower body in position to hit out, he's able to keep both arms extended through impact. One final note on this 8th position is I want to take a look at your head position. I've often heard you comment when you've missed a shot that you thought you lifted your head up. Here we are in the 8th position. This is after impact and you still have your head down. The reason you hit the ball sometimes thin, or with your weight on your back foot hit behind the ball, is not because you lift or look up. It's mainly because of the way you do not maintain the extension in your arms. When you set up to hit the golf ball in your first position, you have extended arms. You have measured yourself to the ball with the intention of hitting the ball with extended arms. That is the radius of your circle. But when you come back and hit the golf ball, you bend the elbows, shortening that radius, lifting the club, and therefore you have to make a compensation move of dropping and hanging back, and you either hit it thin or you hit it fat. Now we are in the 9th position. This is when the right arm is extended straight out and parallel to the ground. You can see how the shaft is almost as straight as the right arm. It's starting to slightly rehinge upward. I like to point out that the white glove, his left hand, is underneath the right hand. Grant keeps his elbows close together because both arms are fully extended, his wrists are crossed. Also, his hands are still in front of his chest. They were in front of his chest at impact in the 7th position. They were in front of his chest in the 8th, and they're still in front in the 9th. He moves this in sequence all the way through. So he's not just throwing his arms past his body. He turns the body with the arms. The engine of the golf swing is the body. The arms are just the passengers. It's also important to point out how tilted his shoulders are, how high this left shoulder gets and how low the right shoulder gets. If we could see the other camera angle, we would see that his left hip is also higher than his right hip. Also, if we could see this position from the other camera angle from down the line, we would see that he is not standing straight up. His spine is not straight, but is tilted to the right. Also, his head is still down. He's still looking in this direction. He's not turning and lifting and standing up to see the ball yet. As we compare your 9th position to Grant's, we can see that Grant has nice extended arms. But he had nice extended arms at impact, and therefore it just carried on through. Once we get your arms more extended at impact and through impact, then your 9th position will look more like Grant's. Also, once we get you more on top of this left leg in this 9th position, where more of your weight comes off of this back foot and onto that front foot in this 9th position, again, that'll help your 9th position look more like Grant's. Now we're in the final 10th position. And you can see how you have moved solidly on this left side, just like Grant has. You've turned and you're facing the target. You're looking over your right arm. You're off your back foot. Your right knee is up to your left knee. So you're able to make all of those moves just like Grant does. But Grant makes those moves earlier in the downswing than you do. So you just need to train that movement a little bit different sequence. You've even finished with a pivoted left foot that you didn't start with. Your foot wants to be in this flared position at the end, but you don't start it there. So sometime during the swing, it twists on its own. So in your setup, we want to preset that left foot because it wants to be there at the end. In order to change your ball flight and make you more consistent, we need to change some of the moves you're making during your golf swing. There's a particular new way I would like you to move in your backswing, which will then facilitate the proper way to move on the downswing and through impact. I believe in one session where you experience these new moves, you will quickly catch on to it and see some positive results. My goal is that you'll hit some nice high draws consistently and a lot more solid. And further,